Standardized tests, the SAT and ACT, have long been a hallmark of US college admissions. As a Sri Lankan student, you might be asking, do I need to take the SAT or ACT? Which one? What's the difference? And how do I prep from here? In this module, we'll break down these exams, recent changes, like many colleges going test optional, and how you can tackle them effectively if you choose to sit for one. Let's turn those intimidating acronyms into something manageable. The SAT versus the ACT. Which to take? First, understand that the SAT and ACT are treated equally by US colleges. There's no inherent advantage of one over the other. They're just two flavors of doing essentially the same job, testing your academic skills in a standardized way. Most students pick one based on which suits their strengths. The SAT is scored out of 1600, 800 for math and 800 for evidence-based reading and writing. It's known for slightly trickier wording in questions and a strong emphasis on vocabulary and reading comprehension. Math goes up to Algebra 2, basic trigonometry. No science section. The ACT is scored out of 36. It's an average of 4 sections: English, math, reading, and science, each out of 36. It tends to be more time-intensive, more questions in less time. The math includes a bit more advanced math, some basic logarithms, matrices, and there's also a unique science section, which is more about interpreting graphs and experiments than actual science knowledge. The ACT English section also tests grammar extensively. A common perception. The ACT is more straightforward but faster paced. The SAT gives more time, but questions can be trickier. This isn't a hard rule, but you can take a diagnostic practice test of each to see where you feel more comfortable. Importantly, all US colleges accept both interchangeably. One test is not easier overall. It depends on your style. For instance, if you're very strong in English and not bothered by time pressure, you might do great on ACT. If you like to puzzle through math problems methodically, maybe SAT suits you. Some students ask, should I take both? Generally, no. Focus on one. Colleges don't need both. They even superscore within the same test, meaning if you take the SAT twice, they'll take your best math and best reading scores across dates. But they won't superscore between SAT and ACT because they can't compare directly. So it saves effort to pick one exam and do it well. Since 2020, many US universities have become test optional, meaning that you are not required to submit SAT or ACT scores. Some have even gone test blind. They won't consider scores at all, like University of California system. Check each college's policy. For instance, Harvard is test optional through 2025, while MIT requires tests again. What does this mean for you? If you have strong scores or believe you can achieve them, submitting them that can still help you to bolster your application. If you don't submit, colleges will just weigh other factors more. International applicants often still submit scores to show readiness, especially if coming from a less known schooling system. A high SAT or ACT can reassure the admissions committee of your academic caliber. On the other hand, if tests really aren't your strength, you might choose to focus on other areas and apply without scores to places that allow that. A balanced approach is prepare for SAT or ACT and take it once or twice. If you score within the range that a college typically accepts, you can find the middle 50% scores on their admissions site, then submit. If you end up with a score much lower than their norm and you don't have time to improve it, perhaps withhold it if the school is test optional. Essentially, a good score can be a plus, but a subpar score can be omitted or to avoid negative effect. Keep in mind, some US colleges still require tests for international students unless they have certain qualifications, like they might waive it for if you did A-levels or IB. Always double-check requirements for international applicants. And if you're aiming for scholarships, especially merit-based scholarships at some universities, having a strong SAT or ACT can be crucial for consideration. You can take the SAT or ACT in Sri Lanka, usually in Colombo. Register early. Seats fill up. The SAT is offered 4 to 5 times a year internationally. For example, March, May, August, October, and December. The ACT is similarly offered on select dates. You'll register on the College Board website for ACT or act.org for ACT. There's a fee, around $100, and fee waivers are tricky for internationals, but TSN might help guide if cost is an issue. The SAT has two main sections: math and evidence-based reading and writing, which is split into a reading test and a writing and language test. Total time is 3 hours. The ACT has 4 sections: English, math, reading, science, plus an optional essay. Total time equals 3 hours plus 40 minutes of essay if you take it. Neither test deducts points for wrong answers, so you should answer every question. Guess if needed. A myth to bust. One test is easier than the other. In truth, it depends. The content overlaps a lot. US colleges truly do not prefer one. Ivy League admissions openly state that they view SAT and ACT as equivalent. So choose based on practice. I'd suggest taking a full-length practice test of each under timed conditions and seeing where you score higher. There are free official practice tests available. Effective prep strategies. Studying for the SAT or ACT can feel daunting, but it's very much a learnable test. Here are some strategies. Use official practice material. The College Board and ACT Incorporated provide free practice exams. Khan Academy offers free SAT prep tailored to you. It's in partnership with College Board. These resources are golden. Learn the test format and tricks. Each exam has recurring question types. For SAT reading, practice skimming passages and answering evidence-based questions. For ACT science, practice reading graphs quickly. There are many guidebooks like Barron's, Princeton Review. If you can get them, great. If not, plenty of online content breaks down these strategies. Focus on weak areas. If English isn't your first language, you might need extra practice on SAT reading or ACT English. Work on vocabulary in context and grammar rules, for example, comma usage, sentence structure. The ACT and SAT test a specific set of grammar points. If math is your weakness, identify which concepts such as geometry, world problems, or algebra, and drill those. Time management. A big challenge is finishing on time. Take time sections regularly. Learn to move on if the question is too slow. Better to answer all easier ones first. For ACT especially, time is tight. Practice can improve your speed. Consider test prep programs. TSN Scholars Pipeline, if you get in, provides SAT prep. If not, there are affordable online classes or local tutors. But self-study is very possible. Many students crack SAT or ACT with disciplined practice. Setting aside even 30 minutes a day for a few months can yield big improvements. Lastly, take the test early enough. Aim to have a score by August or October of your A-level final year. That way, if you're not happy, you can retake in October or December and still use it for applications. Don't wait until the last minute or December for your first try, because if it goes poorly, you're out of chances for regular deadlines. One comfort. US colleges know this test is just one component. In fact, during the pandemic when tests were cancelled, many top colleges admitted classes without scores and found other parts of the application more insightful. As Ivy Wise notes, there's a myth that one test is favored over the other, but that's simply not the case. Take the one you perform better on, or if you truly can't, understand that many schools won't hold it against you if you apply without. TOEFL, IELTS, and other exams. Apart from the SAT or ACT, as an international student, you often need to prove English proficiency. This usually means taking the TOEFL or IELTS, or Duolingo English test, unless your entire schooling has been in English. Many US colleges will waive TOEFL or IELTS requirement if, say, you got an A in O-level English or your medium of instruction was English. Check each college's policy. If you do need it, TOEFL or IELTS are straightforward for most Sri Lankan students who did O-level and A-level English. It's wise to take one and have it already just in case. A TOEFL IBT score of 90 plus or IELTS 7.0 plus is usually sufficient for any college. We won't deep dive into those here, but plan them in your timeline. Let's get practical. First, decide if and when to take the SAT or the ACT. Research the requirements of your target colleges. Are they test optional? What were the average scores of admitted students? If you aim for top 50 US universities, having a test score will likely help unless it's very low. Pick an upcoming test date and register, or mark the registration opening date on your calendar. Secondly, gather prep resources. Download official SAT or ACT practice tests. If you have Khan Academy access, set up a practice schedule. If you know someone who took these tests, ask if they have old prep books. Thirdly, the diagnostic test. Within the next 2 weeks, take one full SAT or ACT practice test and score it. Use that as a baseline. It might be humbling. Many students don't do great on their first try, but it's okay. Improvement of even 200 plus SAT points or 5 plus ACT points is common with study. Plan TOEFL or IELTS if needed. If your chosen colleges require it and you haven't proven English proficiency by other means, register for a TOEFL or IELTS date. These are offered frequently. They require less preparation and mostly polishing up formal English skills and doing a few practice tests to familiarize yourself with the format. By having a clear testing game plan, you remove a lot of uncertainty from your application process. Then you can focus on other important pieces like essays and extracurriculars. Next, in Module 7, we will tackle the extracurriculars component of US applications. We'll discuss why they matter so much and how to frame your activities to stand out. Spoiler, it's about quality over quantity and demonstrating impact. More on that soon. Good luck with your test prep and see you in Module 7.